So it was a miscalculation. And this is now, in my view, the biggest political slap on the face of the Narendra Modi government. So in his third term, halfway through his third term, suddenly all the veneer has gone. That whole image is, the face cracks up. It's like the mirror cracks from side to side. It's all going. What I think is a long-term RSS plan is that I think they're going to ask them about reservation. So the idea being that this whole millions of people who follow Abhijit Dipke, who is a Dalit, and I'm sure that's a factor in what has happened, they want him to fall into a trap.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. 20th July was the day when the police crackdown took place at Jantar Mantar. And since that time, today is 31st of July. It's almost 11 days. And people don't have answers as to who is responsible for that police crackdown. Parliament has not been functioning. Every day, the opposition has been demanding answers. In fact, slogans have been raised by the opposition members, even to the extent of saying that, where is Amit Shah? Why is he not coming to the house? That is what the slogan playing out every morning repeatedly. And then also, nobody knows what the real answer is. Who's accountable? Who will reply on why the police crackdown happened? Who ordered to fire the pellet guns? Why was AK-47 used on the streets of Patna? All those are questions which are repeatedly being asked. Now, I'd like to show you the tweet of Rahul Gandhi this morning. And Rahul very clearly wrote that PM Modi and Amit Shah, you cannot threaten Gen Z into silence. First, you broke their bones. Now you are filing FIRs and taking down their accounts. You are India's past. Be careful about how you treat India's future. Now, in the meanwhile, what has happened today, I'm going to show you a tweet of KC Venugopal, where he has moved a privilege motion against Minister of State Jiten Singh for blatantly lying on the floor of Parliament and claiming that no firing took place in response to the peaceful protests of our students. I'm just reading out from his tweet. He says, LOP Shri Rahul Gandhi ji met a pellet gun victim in front of the media. There are countless media reports documenting victims of such firing, and hospital records have also emerged of victims suffering from injuries from such things. The government cannot get away with such obvious falsehoods in Parliament. There should be action against the minister. So he's moved a privilege motion against Jiten Singh. But what are the kind of stories we are hearing about the protesters, despite all the assurances given by the government that we will not file any cases against any of the protesters? But there are stories coming out from the Congress legal aid saying that despite centre's assurance, people still being called to explain their presence at protest site, says the member of Congress's legal aid. And what is happening also is that whoever was present at Jantar Mantar, they are being called up, they are being questioned. Many of the Gen Z students have had their Instagram handles blocked. And so there are lots of questions as to in which manner the government is trying to deal with Gen Z. And this is exactly what Rahul Gandhi wrote, that you cannot silence Gen Z. And mind you, this is just not about Gen Z, it's about Gen Alpha also. This morning I was watching a number of videos where this movement is reaching the doorsteps of the school children. Gen Alpha, the people or the students who were born post 2010, they are protesting at a local level. In different parts of the country, like UP, there was a girl who was protesting that there are no teachers coming to the classrooms. In fact, the entire class was sitting and protesting. The video was shot and made viral. And that girl was saying, if the teacher doesn't land up, we will lock the gates of the school and we will protest till the time the teacher doesn't come. So at individual levels, there are lots of protests which are happening. This is the girl I was talking about on the screen. You can see that girl from UP, and behind her is the entire classroom where the students are protesting against the teacher's absence. Now, this is a small village area where the students are protesting. In fact, Abhijit Dipke, the Cockroach Party founder, wrote that this is something to feel proud of. The flames were lit at Jantar Mantar, and now that is reaching the village levels. Now, what Rahul Gandhi said, that Modi is a thing of the past, he cannot play with the future. We'll try and discuss that will this Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, can cost Modi dearly. Joining me this evening is senior journalist, author, and political commentator Saba Naqvi. Saba, thank you so much for joining. And what are your thoughts about this Gen Z and Gen Alpha movement, which is now seeping up to the village levels? What we were showing were the shots of a schoolgirl sitting with her entire class, and she's protesting about the teacher's absence. Is it really going down to that level where there is no coming back for Prime Minister Modi?
Thank you, Neelu, for having me, and hope this finds you well. I think it's been like a stock market crash. It's crashed. The stock market has just crashed. So what has happened? You lose faith in the product, or so that's happened to the Prime Minister. You started off with this question about Jiten Singh being hauled up by the Congress, Shri K.C. Venugopal, a minister inside the Prime Minister's office. So we all know that the Home Minister of India, obviously the police commissioner of Delhi, New Delhi, was changed a few days before the parliament session began. I just want to go over a few sequence of facts, and then I want to move into the political realm. So we had a protest going on. It was a modest kind of a protest. There was no issue. You could go there. You took a bottle of you had to make sure your water was plastic. They would check your Aadhaar card. They would let you in. There was no issue. Suddenly they decided to crack down, which proved to be so counterproductive to them. They suddenly decided to crack down, and they changed the police commissioner, and everything started to change. That decision was obviously taken by the Home Minister, because he is in charge of all the police. He's in charge of so-called security. He's in charge of that. So I'm not even saying something wild out there. Logically, we presume if he's in office, which he is, then he took that decision. So why does Mr. Jitendra Singh have to become so active? There is one speculation that the Prime Minister asked him to step in to handle the mess that had been created. There's one. I mean, I'm just saying so. There is a speculation here. Why would Jitendra Singh be answerable, or he is the fall guy to protect the Home Minister? But I don't think that's possible. Clearly the Home Minister dialed a wrong number. That much should be clear. We should be able to say it. I'm not slogan. I'm taking a very sane. I'm not one of those journalists who wants to just sit there and I want to get the correct answer. To my view, the only way this whole thing built up is the Home Minister took a calculated risk that they could crush them. This would be crushed. This protest would be over. He made the protest much bigger than it is by doing that. So it was a miscalculation. And this is now, in my view, the biggest political slap on the face of the Narendra Modi government in the 12 years it's been in power. So in his third term, halfway through his third term, suddenly all the veneer has gone. That whole image is, the face cracks up. It's like the mirror cracks from side to side. It's all going. And I almost feel sympathy for the Prime Minister, in spite of being a big critic, that he is going on Instagram and making Insta reels. He's feeling so thing by it, obviously there is a feedback that something is going wrong.
But somehow, would you say that Prime Minister is scared, he feels intimidated, or he's feeling insecure that he could not appeal to the Gen Z, and which is why he thought of taking to Instagram?
No, I don't know about scared and all that. He has been a phenomenally successful politician. Let's not take that away. He ruled Gujarat for 15 years. He's been Prime Minister of India for the third term. So I would not put fear into those categories, but I'm saying even when a big leader, when a big successful politician, when you confront something like this, when your whole image cracks up, it just sort of collapses. So I have no idea how he's feeling inside, but it cannot be good. And this comes as a follow up to a series of things that have happened in the world, which have also taken away the Vishwa Guru element of things from India. That's world affairs. I won't go there because that's another complicated sequence of events. You cannot repeat. In today's world, you cannot have a short duration conflict with Pakistan and think that you can play a national card here. What happened in Pulwama, Balakot, after a terror strike on India, there was a short, we said we struck Pakistan in 2019 elections. It changed the whole equation. Right now, you can't do that with Pakistan. You want to know the world, Pakistan was navigating with the Americans and the Iranians. You can't do that. That's out, right? China is also sitting there, the big emerging power in the world. So that solution is no longer yours. That solution key, we will have a war, and that's actually gone out of the basket. So what do you have then? You have to give real growth. You have to do real, which is very challenging, and you have to then keep up with Hindu versus Muslim, which is again being attempted, which is right now the laboratory is very much gone into Bengal. Abhi Bengal say they're trying that, huh? You have to do, but there are spaces, but this movement has also challenged that stereotype. You were supposed to make people feel guilty for showing any Muslims. A few Muslims landed up at the protest, and it was presumed that they will be abandoned. They were not abandoned. Even the CJP people stood by them, those who were feeding. It was said they'll be abandoned or that Muslims are an embarrassment, they must not be talked about because in mainstream Hindu society will not come with you. So where they are trying to get the CJP to take a position, what I think is a long-term RSS plan, is that I think they're going to ask them about reservation. So the idea being that this whole millions of people who follow Abhijit Dipke, who is a Dalit, and I'm sure that's a factor in what has happened, they want him to fall into a trap about reservation. So if he says he's pro-reservation, which he cannot, which anybody who wants a long-term future in India has to say they're pro-reservation, but they presume that all the upper caste people will go away. That's the thinking there, right? So they want him to take a position on reservation, which I don't think he should. I think he should stay out of caste. He should stay out of these kind of issues. It should be about education.
No, but he hasn't spoken anything. Abhijit Dipke, as far as I remember, hasn't spoken anything about
the fault line. I have information. Yeah. I'm giving you my information. And even they expect that to be the thing. It's coming out of the nature of the protests that took place in Bihar also struck them. Though a lot of that energy also came from the role of Aisa. Please remember that in Bihar is where the Malay is very strong, CPI-ML. And there Aisa Lord put up a grand show over here. So the Bihar protests were actually in different places. The protests have had different quality of, different institutional complaints over there. So this is what they're going to do over time. They're going to try and create a precedent that people feel afraid to insult Prime Minister by making a few FIR, the rest. I don't know whether they'll push back also on that. But if you notice the kind of capacity people are having
in fact, it's just not about students, Saba. Now I read somewhere that there is an FIR against the Meta chief. I mean, to that level, the government has gone. What does one say to that?
I mean, I don't know about it, but I'm sure the Meta chief will be very well taken care of. Nothing will happen to big guys. Always get away in you. Let's face it. Big corporations, anything. Nothing will happen. It will be the small guy who will be made an example of. And this is a very, very big political the biggest that we've confronted. Now the catch here is that's one aspect of it. What comes ahead? You're going to look at the situation in Parliament. Look at the situation in Parliament. You have the members of Parliament suddenly as if they're liberated, and they're doing a skit on the Ram Mandir Chori. So on the Ram Mandir Andolan, they're doing a skit over there. I have seen some media voices saying, "Oh, this is in bad taste." Why is it in bad taste? It's getting attention, and this is from the land of Abad. These voices, Abad, may people talk like that. One of the my most hilarious experiences in this protest is I had gone into the crowd after it became big, and so who are you? Who are you? What are you? Where are you from? There was this group of people who were from UP. And I said, "Aap kahan ke hain?" And he gave the he got so excited and all that. Hindu guy, huh? He had come, taken a train to the protest, Uttar Pradesh se, and it's not very far from Ayodhya. Ayodhya is like 100 kilometers away. It's all Abad, huh? So the way they talk, I cannot repeat it to you, Neelu, but I was in splits. The way they combine mandir ki chori to this, to वो जो देहाती जो तरीका होता है बात करने का, it is not appropriate to say those things that they say about a prime minister and all that, and all that. But it was hilarious kind of a take. So from that is also how people in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar relate to things also. They make jokes about the predicaments in which they find themselves in the various dialects of these states. So I find it a bit ironical that some people should find it tasteless that members of parliament, including Avdesh Prasad, who defeated the Bharatiya Janata Party in Ayodhya, is doing something distasteful by being part of a skit on this. But chalo, but at least it's got us talking. It's got a conversation point. Did you ever see that skit of Mahmood of Ghazni coming in? वो आ रहा है क्या? नहीं नहीं वापस चलो.
Yeah. No, but now the question, Saba, is that the way government is handling it now, whether it is outside parliament, whether it is inside parliament, Modi and Shah, both of them, they've not entered the house at all since so many days. Every day there are questions being raised. Some of the reporters who are covering parliament said that they do come to the parliament premises, but they don't enter the house. So what does that go to show? That they are not ready to answer those questions on which the opposition is continuously.
Absolutely, they have nothing left to say. So they're going to try and they're going to try and create a counter narrative. I think they're looking for the right one. It's not come their way yet. Or how do you describe everyone as anti-national? How do you describe the entire youth of the nation as anti-national?
No, but one thing which is beyond comprehension, look at the small young school children who are now raising their voices, the young students who came from all over the country at Jantar Mantar. Are they going to label all of these protesters as anti-nationals or people who are funded by Soros or some foreign powers? That's what is...
they would like to. Yes. So now it's a challenge because what is the BJP's template? You control all the political finance. Let's be very clear. The data will show you it's never happened like this in the pre-Narendra Modi era. Not just the BJP, there was Vajpayee also who ruled for 6 years. All the political finance comes to them and all parties are split. So agencies and money is used to split people. There is fear and wealth. So that is how it works, right? So now and then you do a lot of Hindu-Muslim polarization. You tell people that now the real Hindu moment has arrived. And you give out rations. And yet, I think in 2024, when they lost a simple majority, they decided you cannot trust all the people all the time. We have to decide for the people. So let's knock off some people of the electoral rolls. That is the thinking that's come. If you notice, the tightening up of the electoral system follows a shock reversal in the 24 general election. And somehow or the other, it's the states where they seem to have managed. Bihar has such huge protests. They're in power. They fought with Nitish Kumar as if he's gone. Excuse me. Delhi, of course, there are other factors. Delhi is the national capital. Delhi also, the Aam Aadmi Party was not fairly dealt with. They were thrown into jail. They were given a lot of cases. You changed the laws applicable to them. You got rid of them. You've got somebody who nobody even knows who the chief minister is. You're in power. You've changed the rules. Delhi has a huge protest. So then, Bengal is still new, fresh territory. Many people were knocked off the rolls. I'm not saying that margins of victory were narrow in Bengal and Delhi when two important regional parties were. Bengal is a big state. It has 42 Lok Sabha seats, so that's going to be important to them in the future. 42 is a lot of Lok Sabha seats for the next general election. And then you have, so that's been their modus operandi. So something like this, when people just lose faith in the leader, it's a very big challenge for them. Very, very big challenge. And these are not people who are Muslims. You can't say anti-national.
No, but do
Sorry,
you think that this is
these
one
are
of
just
the but
ordinary students. So,
right?
and when you have these visuals of young school kids all over, it's like they're getting the idea that this is about our systems, this is about exams, this is about our systems. And actually, Neelu, among the crowds, I'll tell you, it's not just the education system and all that, it's also about jobs.
Yes.
Ultimately, the big storm that this protest captures is the joblessness that is bound to be ours, which is the government has not addressed, and the government has not been able to generate any jobs. I mean, look, if all your big
What I'm
projects.
surprised now, Sabha, is that each time the government has been in crisis in the past, they've been able to brazen out the situation. They've been able to turn the narrative in their favor. But this time, it's just not cutting ice, no matter how many reels Prime Minister has made. And he's trying to convince Gen Z by addressing them as friends. Then yesterday also he tried to convince the people. I mean, never had we thought that Prime Minister will talk about a bill which is passed in Parliament that is on Instagram. He announces it on Instagram. He should have been there sitting in Parliament talking about it as an achievement. And he takes to Instagram in the middle of the night and he records an Instagram reel. I mean, this was totally unthinkable. I mean, have they really lost the plot? They don't know how to handle the Godi media. I mean, sorry to use that word, but the mainstream media, have they also got it wrong? And which is why Prime Minister looks clueless. What about their advisors? What about the PR machinery? Is that all which has become non-functional totally?
I mean, I don't know, it's a crisis. And even the so called media, broadcast media channels, did you notice after putting out tentative conspiracy theories, because this became so huge, they had to give some level of sympathetic coverage to young people. As it is, look, they're losing their audiences, you know? So if you notice that, they had to do some authentic kind of stories. But look, they will still do what the government tells them to do. They will still follow up whatever narrative is offered. But as I'm saying, I don't know what Hindu Muslim they'll come up with, but it might disgust people. But they'll find some Hindu Muslim event. What you cannot find, according to my own assessment of the future, you cannot have a war with Pakistan again. You can't do that. You can't have a short duration war. China's on your head, Pakistan is America's best friend. You are not of so much use to them as Pakistan has been with all the, in the geopolitical game. So that as a political weapon, of course, India is a very important, huge country, huge market. We get that. I'm not even getting into the standing of India as a nation. I'm getting into, can you do that kind of thing? You know, just as so we've got a bit of hand. You can't do politics about out of conflict with the neighbor right now. We've seen the. I mean, you've seen the. You've done politics over Bangladesh all the time. I don't think we have the best relationship left there. Also,
Absolutely.
China has greater influence in this Bangladesh than we used to have in the old Bangladesh. We don't with this
But
current neighbor.
in this entire crisis, I mean, for the first time, we saw a union minister resigning because of public pressure, that is of Dharmendra Pradhan.
Yeah.
Now, accountability is sought from Amit Shah about how the pellet guns were used, how the AK-47 was used, how police crackdown happened. Do you think that BJP can afford the resignation of somebody like Amit Shah? And are they really in a fix as to what to do? Because there's so much of pressure seeking accountability from Amit Shah. And how would they sacrifice Amit Shah? That's the biggest question.
It's a big question, and that's it. So Amit Shah is like an extension of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. But is there something here in the fact that the charge had to be given to Jitendra Singh to have a conversation, to handle something, not to Amit Shah? Somewhere in between, Jitendra Singh from the Prime Minister's office had to be brought in.
No, but when
Amit
the
Shah
Cockroach
was
Party leaders were talking with the government, this talk was happening between the Cockroach Party and Jiten Singh and JP Nadda. They were the two ministers who were in talks with the Cockroach Janata Party.
yes, yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Jiten Singh and JP Nadda, but no, the Amit Shah question is extremely intriguing. Yes, yes. Obviously, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi cannot get Amit Shah to resign. Amit Shah is him, he is Amit Shah. Amit Shah is an extension of him. Even though he might be angry with Amit Shah for certain decisions that Amit Shah took upon himself, miscalculation or whatever it is. But and now another election, so there are some internal dynamics within the BJP which we do not know about, which are happening. Another election comes forth which involves this Yogi Adityanath. So let's watch, in a state where lots of people came from UP into the protest. They just got buses and all, they all landed up. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you,
You
Saba.
know,
No, I think, is there some problem from my end or your
is
end?
there something wrong from your end or my end, the audio hangs?
Even I'm trying to figure out, but I lost your audio in between.
Hello?
So if you could just repeat. Saba, can you hear me now?
I
Shubham,
can't hear you, Neelu. Your
yeah,
audio.
can you hear me now?
Your
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it your
Okay,
end, the internet connection?
I have no idea because
I
all right. Okay. So now the question is that how will Prime Minister Modi and even Amit Shah wriggle out of this crisis? That is $1 million question. Can you see any exit? Can you see any sort of, that door opening where they can actually have some sort of a face saving on this issue?
I think they're still going to try and break parties so that they can do that delimitation to show that as a victory. They're still going to try that. Break the Samajwadi Party, break the... I don't think that operation has been put aside entirely. That they will show. What they want to show is that they are immune to anything that happens on the ground because they control the system. So it's about money. It's about controlling institutions. It's about SIR. It's about delimitation. They want a map of India that they can control, electoral map of India. They can't change the map of India. So I think their strategies will all be applied, intense pressure on people to leave their parent parties, to give them the numbers. It's looking challenging though. I'm not sure how DMK can suddenly abstain on those days. There is and if you've noticed, it's not so simple. Even some people in the BJP have complained. BJP of Bengal have complained about all these ex-TMC people being taken in. So all of these things are happening, but that tod immoral politics is their only strategy to turn the attention to show, hey, we are still the masters of the universe, we are still the kings of the game. You can do what you like. We are going to break you. We are going to change the laws. We're going to run the country the way we want to. That's what they're going to do. I think that is the political strategy.
Right. So we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. But of course, this is a big face loss for Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah. How they will find a solution, nobody knows as of now. But yes, there are days still left for the Parliament session to get over. It has just begun on 20th July. So, and there were 20 sittings. So let's see how this session unfolds. Thank you so much, Saba, for joining on HW.
My pleasure. Thank you.